Now we can work, and I want to promise you that that's what tonight is. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to know each other, but this is work. We're going to try to come up with a list of demands as our first draft that a working group will then go and polish up, and then come back a week from today and we'll vote to approve our list of demands. Okay? Folks with me? That's the plan for tonight. So the agenda that we have is that we're going to go into smaller groups. I'm not going to call them small groups because that's impossible with the big group that we have, which is exciting. We have like 8 facilitators, small group facilitators that are going to take up different areas. And you're going to go up to your facilitator and you're going to say, I like that demand, and they're going to hash it out. And once we have the top 2 in your group, we're going to come back, we're going to identify somebody to tell the big group what your top 2 demands are.
The SEC, before this last election, talked about reinstating the uptick rule, which means that stocks have to go up before you can sell them. And what happened during the Great Depression and during this last one is all these people that were short stocks started just selling and destroying all these companies that are trying to grow.
We have a right to organize. We have a right to free speech.
That we implement FDR's second Bill of Rights.
1. Repeal voter ID law. Number 2, no money lobbying of Congress.
Banking, healthcare, I mean all these areas that have been consolidated.
This is very interconnected. This is nothing new, guys. We're all living in this every day. And we know how it comes together, how you put food on the table.
The 99%! We are the 99%! We are the 99%! We are the 99%! Alright guys, my group's top 2 was democracy for union and end at-will employment.
Our 2 is repeal voter ID reform law and campaign finance reform.
My name is Sam, and our top 2 ended up actually being the top 3. We had healthcare as a fundamental right. We agreed on quality, affordable public education. And we agreed that we should take money out of politics and reform salaries and campaign money. My name is Miles. We had 2 demands. We had free access to excellent public local education. And addressing local police department issues to ensure better accountability of police to citizens.
Our group voted on universal health care and getting money out of politics.
We again voted for affordable health care for everybody and a city policy for growing our own food in sustainable local areas.
Also decided on access to health care for everyone and decriminalization of marijuana. So we ended up deciding to do things on a consensus basis rather than a sort of divisive vote basis. So this is what we came up with. Get rid of the electoral college so each vote counts. A corporation is not a person and should not be given rights to prosecute officials within the financial community who are guilty of all the things that have gone down the last 2.5 years. A cap on which each candidate for any political race can collect monetarily, and transparency of every campaign contribution for said politician. Transparency of any and all transactions involving corporate use of private funds of individuals and banks. Better protections for all employees for wrongful termination. Beneficial stipends for environmentally friendly companies and penalties for harmful industry and enforce environmental laws. Sustainable opportunities for the future and free trade agreements to ensure these stay that way. No price gouging. Extend discrimination protection for sexual orientation and gender identity. place a legal cap on all college tuition prices, openly publish tax returns of any and all governmental officials, free or easily affordable higher education for everyone, absolutely no political immunity for any and all lawmakers, raise taxes on the rich and eliminate tax loopholes, revise the justice system providing justice, not making money, eliminate an economic system in which the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Social Security remains for all the rest of us and does not go bankrupt through corporate wagering. The privatization of all public services. That's what we came up with.
I want to thank the groups for really participating based on the consensus agreement that we made at the beginning. I want to appreciate you all for that. And I want to appreciate the group that decided they weren't and really making us challenge. I think I appreciate you challenging the process. That through this struggle, then we will figure out how to make a process that works for all of us. So I want to appreciate all of you.
Make it bigger.
So big ups to all the groups for spending time thinking about what their demands should be seriously. We appreciate it. All right, so you've heard the list. What did you think? Did you feel like you? I want you to put your thumb up in the air if you thought that all of that was something that you could live with.
Oh, yeah.
Put your thumb down if you feel like you just couldn't live with that.
Good.
That looks like consensus. You all are amazing. So, final hand.
Oh, we're so greedy, right?
We're so greedy. 99%. You just asked for so much. So, what we're going to do from here out is we're going to split up into working groups. Okay, because there is now much more work to do. And one of those working groups is going to be responsible for polishing up our demands, seeing if there's ones that are worded exactly the same, and merging them so that we go from 35 to a number that reflects, the individuality of all of our demands. Right? We'll polish it up and we'll bring it back for our next General Assembly for us to vote up or down. Does that sound good?
Yeah!
So let me tell you what the other working groups are going to be. We're going to move from this space into another small group space, and we're going to call those groups working groups. Get engaged in actions if we so choose to do them. It'll be folks to be like police liaisons and things of that nature. So raise your hand if you might be interested in that legal working group, just so we can get a clear picture. Okay. You might be interested in meeting with the legal working group. So then, we also realize, look around, look at your neighbors. Look and see who they are. Look them in their faces. There's some good-looking people. That's exactly right. It's a good-looking crowd. But look around and see if there are faces that are missing. How inclusive is our space? Have we spoken in any other language than English tonight?
Yes.
Is everybody in our city an English speaker? So, the inclusion working group might be people who are multilingual. It might be people who are dedicated to creating a more diverse and open movement. So if you are interested and have a relationship with communities that are not represented and would like to be someone who pulls them into this process, raise your hand. Okay, you might be interested in the inclusion working group. Then there's the Declaration of Demands working group. Can you imagine what that might be? Those are going to be the people that work on the demands created to represent to the General Assembly at our next meeting, which is our plan is that it'll be a week from today. Does that sound good to you? Same time, same place. Same time, same place. Sound good? Yeah! Okay. So what we're going to need to do is break out into working groups, right? And make a decision about what your meeting time will be. You will need to have met before our next General Assembly, so the General Assembly can vote up or down on what comes out of the working groups, right? There'll be report backs from the working groups at the next General Assembly. So if you're interested in media, legal, inclusion, the Declaration of Demands, we want you to break out into those spaces. So let's say that media might be over here, legal might be behind them or something over here. We'll say inclusion, the back corner over here, and Declaration of Demands over here. Does that sound good?
When do we decide occupation or not?
So, I'm getting there.
Okay.
So, the last working group is for people who might have specific proposals. For people to build strategies and proposals for campaigns centered around the demands that we just listed. Okay? So if you are someone who especially has been trained in nonviolent direct action that's interested in like taking one of those demands and saying like, hey, like there's a local thing that we could be talking about right now and we could do a direct action around it. Or maybe we could put out, you know, some messaging around this demand that came out. We want you to splinter out into the specific proposals working group and start raising that to be brought back Friday at the General Assembly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you might be interested in specific proposals. We've got 5 of those. I also want to raise that we had a sister tell me that we were missing a working group, and I think she's right, is we don't have anybody that's interested in first aid on this. So raise your hand if you're interested in being a medic or you know how to be a medic, if you're trained in first aid, anything like that. Okay, so let's have like a medic work group. See, okay. So how about medics just meet like right in here somewhere? Splitting you into the working groups, but we're gonna close before we do that, okay? So you can leave once you've decided when you're gonna meet and you've got each other's contact information and all that. If you need paper, come to me and get it. But once you've gotten your meeting date and contact information, I want one of you to bring that information to me so we can make sure we've got dates for each of that and we can put it out for people who weren't here that might be interested in joining those working groups, okay? Okay, that makes sense?
Yeah.
All right. To say how amazingly beautiful it is that so many people who love this city came together. We didn't fight. We didn't act silly among each other. Not in any bad way, at least. Okay? In useful ways, productive ways. There was no police repression. You know, there was a lot of that, like, oh man. We had police here who were totally supportive of this process.
Yeah!
Only in a city like Chattanooga. I mean, not all the occupies have been so lucky, as some of us know, right? We've had beautiful weather. We've had great singing voices. We've had relationships building with people who live in Miller Park. That's revolutionary. That doesn't happen every day in Miller Park. So I want you, put your hand up in the air. Put your hand up in the air. I'm not gonna move on until you put your hand up in the air. I want you to turn around to the person in front of you or beside you. Get paired up. I want you to give them the lovingest high five you got in your body right now.
High five.
Y'all rock. You rock. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%. We are the 99%.